It's the brutal reality of football. The sharks are always circling. When you're rising through the leagues, when you're making noise, the established giants, they think they can just reach down and pluck your best assets away. They assume the little club will fold. They assume the allure of European nights or historic stadiums will turn a player's head. We are approaching January, the most dangerous month in the calendar, and the predators are already at the gate. A shock approach has landed on the desk at the racecourse. A massive club from north of the border trying to tempt away one of our key summer signings. A reunion was on the cards. The narrative was written. But this isn't the Wrexham of old. This isn't a club that needs to sell to survive. The offer came in, the logic was sound, but the response from the owners and from the gaffer has sent a shockwave through the market. They haven't just said no, they've drawn a line in the sand that changes everything about how this club is perceived. The bid is rejected. The stance is clear. Wrexham are not here to make up the numbers. Right, let's get straight into the thick of it. No messing about. We are talking about Josh Windass, the 31-year-old midfielder who only just walked through the door this past summer. Reports coming out of Record Sport have confirmed that Glasgow Rangers, one of the biggest institutions in British football, have launched a shock bid to take Windass on loan in the upcoming January window. Now, this wasn't a random punt. There's method to the madness. The current Rangers boss, Danny Rowell, knows Windass inside out. They worked together at Sheffield Wednesday. Rowell is trying to save his season at Ibrox after a nightmare start, and he identified our man as the catalyst to turn their fortunes around. He wanted a reunion. He wanted Windass back in the Scottish Premiership where he played between 2016 and 2018. But here's the headline news. Wrexham have flatly rejected the approach. The club has made its transfer stance crystal clear. Despite the history, despite the size of Rangers, Ryan Reynolds, Rob McElhenney and Phil Parkinson have no intention of letting a star summer signing leave just 6 months into his tenure. The door has been slammed shut. To understand why this rejection is so significant, you have to look at the context of our season. Cast your minds back to the summer of 2025. We'd just secured that historic third consecutive promotion. We were buzzing, but we knew the championship was a different beast. We needed experience. We needed quality. The owners didn't shy away. They went on a spending spree, splashing out over £30 million, that's roughly $40 million for our friends across the pond, to build a squad capable of competing in the second tier. Josh Windass was the third signing of that window. He arrived as a free agent after 5.5 years at Sheffield Wednesday. A proper signing, a lad who knows the league, knows the pressure, and knows where the back of the net is. And he's delivered. Since the start of this 2025-26 campaign, Windass has been instrumental. We're talking 21 matches across all competitions, 19 of those in the brutal grind of the Championship. He's bagged 6 goals and provided 3 assists. But it's not just the numbers, is it? It's the influence. At 31, he's a senior figure in that dressing room. He's been guiding the lads, setting the tempo. He's settled in at the racecourse. To rip him out of that squad now would be madness.
So why did Rangers think they had a chance? Desperation often breeds optimism. Rangers have had a torrid time. They had a nightmare start to their 2025-26 campaign, which saw Russell Martin sacked back in October. Danny Rowell came in to steady the ship. He's done a decent job, dragging them from 8th up to 4th, but they're still trailing Celtic. He needs players he can trust. He knows Windass works for his system. But Wrexham held all the cards here. Windass is under contract until the end of the 2027-28 campaign. That is a long-term commitment. Phil Parkinson didn't bring him in as a stopgap. He brought him in to be a pillar of this team for years. The report from Record Sport states clearly, Parkinson intends to retain the player and get the best out of him. The idea of loaning out a key starter to another club, regardless of their stature, simply doesn't align with our ambition.
This decision to stand firm aligns perfectly with the advice coming from the pundits. Football League expert Don Goodman recently spoke to Casino Hawks, and he hit the nail on the head. He called this a season of learning for Wrexham. Goodman pointed out that despite the money spent, that £30 million figure, the goal this year is consolidation. We've had to be ruthless. We've had to say goodbye to club legends who couldn't make the step up. It's been emotional. It's been tough. But now that we have a squad of championship-savvy players like Windass, you don't let them go halfway through the battle. Goodman said, "I don't think there's any danger of relegation." And he's right. But to ensure that safety, to maybe even push for that mid-table respectability or higher, you need stability. You don't disrupt the squad in January by letting your starting midfielder head off to Scotland because his old mate is the manager.
So, what does this mean for the rest of the January window? It sends a message. Wrexham are not a supermarket. We are not a feeder club. In fact, the word on the street is that Reynolds and McElhenney are being advised to go the other way, to go big again. Instead of selling, we are looking to bolster. The rejection of the Windass bid proves that the owners are listening to the football people. They understand that to survive in the championship, you protect your assets. Windass is an asset. He's part of the project. If anything, this rejection suggests we might see more quality arriving at the racecourse to play alongside Windass, not to replace him.
It's easy to get carried away with the Hollywood lights and the documentary cameras, but at its heart, football is about what happens on the green stuff. It's about holding your nerve when the big boys come calling. Rangers tried, they saw a player they liked, they thought the lure of Ibrox would be enough, but they forgot who they were dealing with. They aren't just dealing with a football club, they're dealing with a movement. Josh Windass stays, the project continues, and as we head into 2026, the message from North Wales is louder than ever. We are Wrexham, and we are going nowhere but up. Up the town.